What's up, guys? This is day 27. Originally was planning to do a back workout today, but I was doing like schoolwork, and um, I realized I wouldn't be able to spend as much time on my workout today, or at least I didn't want to, because the past couple days I've set aside like an hour and a half. I took pre-workout, just blasting music the whole time. And I was just there, like, mentally, just focused on the workout. And that's really fun for me. But I just didn't want to fully check out from doing work today, or yesterday. So I just worked, like, I just did the workout in between breaks, because I was trying this Pomodoro thing, 25 minutes on, 5 minutes off. Um, so I think it worked out pretty well. I did, so that's the reason why I did the bicep curls. So this whole video is just gonna be me doing some sets of bicep curls, because it's like the most low effort thing in my opinion. Um, I mean, like, I'm using 25-pound dumbbells here, so just volume, relatively lightweight. Um, so that's pretty much all I did today. So I did, like, I think 2 sets of full range supinated curls, um, and then like couple sets of supinated partial range curls, very small range of motion. Um, and then I do full range hammer curls, and also short range, a few sets. Um, so yeah, still I'm not too concerned about like ideal rep range or weight or anything like that. Right now my options are pretty limited, and I just want to feel out all the different exercises before I put time into like figuring that out. Um, well, I did seem to notice today, like, when I'm doing the full range curls, I feel it more like my lower forearm and like the lower part of my bicep, and it does seem to engage. Like, it feels different when I'm doing the short range for sure. Um, so I don't really fully understand that. Maybe it just requires more forearm to keep your wrist bent while you're in the bottom half of the movement. So it might not even have to do with the bicep. But either way, actually, like, your arm strength itself isn't always all bicep, obviously. Um, so yeah, I have been thinking about that a little bit. I guess I'm saying, like, I am thinking about it, but I'm okay with not coming to an answer, like, conclusion at this point. But yeah, for these, you see me, like, I don't know, I'd say this is like 45 degrees. But that was a good range of motion. I mean, this is, like, I don't think I get more stretch out than that when I'm arm wrestling, unless I'm, you know, quote unquote king's moving, giving it up. But I have some thought about the whole king's move thing too. Like, I would never call myself a king's mover, because I think, I know some people would disagree, but I do think you basically need a bow lock or something to king's move, because I mean, pretty much, like, the whole idea of the king's move, in my opinion, is that you cannot get pinned. Um, like, I feel if you don't have a bone lock, you would have to be pretty dumb or not on the same level of strength. I mean, I don't know. It's hard, because I've seen Jason Constantini uh, from Table Monkeys do the Kingsman pretty effectively, and he doesn't have a bone lock. But I think, in my opinion, unless you're a top roller guy who just has never pressed before, um, you can't achieve a true stop in a King's move without a bone lock. So it sort of depends, but I think that if someone knows how to press, and then you can't King's move, then that's not really a King's move, in my opinion. Or at least for me, like, my sticky spot comes from, like, actual bone lock, except because I don't have a bone lock, I'm fully extended, and that means my shoulder has to go below the table to get a stop, right? So that's not legal in any league. And so basically, when I try to King's move, a lot of people, when they feel their wrist going, they'll stop because they've been taught, okay, if you just try to attack a King's move, you'll end up in a basketball and you'll lose. But for me, I want them to stop and think about it and try to regain their hand, because then they won't pin me, right? But if they just sort of got over that and try to pin me, I would go straight to the pad because I don't have a stop, right? And a lot of these like top rollers, when they lose their wrist, they sort of freak out and they don't go for the pin, which is, I think, in general smart. But I feel that's sort of why people seem to think that, like, for example, I can King's move them even though I know I can't in a real setting because I don't have a bone lock, right? And I think the whole debate about King's move, desperation move, shoulder above pillow, I think you can pretty much sort that out by dividing people into people with bone locks and without. So if you have a bone lock, you can King's move above the table, and you can argue that's unfair, but the argument also is that you can't, like for example, if George is King's moving above the table, you can't tell him to stop because his arm reached his bone lock, right? So basically, you can't disadvantage people because they've spent years in the sport and they've developed this like calcification or whatever, this bone lock. So I think you should be able to use that to your advantage, and that's basically what King's moving is, right? And I think that's why Derek Smith calls it the King's move, because you have to have put years in the sport to develop that advantage. And so I think basically you can still apply the same sort of idea as a non-bone lock or beginner King's mover, like by stretching out and pronating way outside, you can take someone's hand. But in my opinion, like, the difference between open top roll and King's move is that you can try to do that, but if someone presses you down, you will lose or get pinned, right? So that's not really a King's move, and if you do try to get a stop, like without a bone lock, you'll have to go below the table, and that's therefore not allowed. So that's not even a real thing, right? So when I hear people saying like, oh, King's move equals go below the table, open top roll equals go above the table, I think, like, I mean, it's possible to classify it that way, like, but I just think that's a very dumb way of applying these concepts to actually how it looks on the table. So anyway, these are just some thoughts I have about the King's move. But yeah, damn, I was just ranting about that for a while. But yeah, like, so if you've been watching the video, I do like 2 or 3 sets full range, and then 2 or 3 sets like partial range. I have been wondering, like, if there's any worth in doing the full range at all, because it seems like I don't really see a lot of pro guys doing it. But I think in terms of arm wrestling strength, you need to look at 2 things. Like, arm strength, I feel, is elbow integrity, bicep strength, and I guess elbow integrity and back pressure, in my opinion. And I think in terms of back pressure, you can specialize in a way so that you don't really ever have to train full range. But I think for your elbow integrity, you need to have a lot of blood flow, and I think this must be just like subjective, or wrong, but I think it sort of requires more volume. So I'm starting to formulate this idea of like elbow day versus like like arm day. So maybe for like side pressure elbow, I'll do lots more volume, and then for back pressure, like to train that, I'll do like higher. I'll try to go for higher weight, less reps. But that's just sort of my I guess aversion towards high volume training, because at least all this time, like since I started working out, I always sort of hated high volume because it's like it hurts more, and I seem to get even stronger by focusing on less reps and high weight, at least like when I was doing like squats and stuff. But yeah, anyways, that's it for the video. Thanks for watching, guys.